Yeah. Pro Fan Sports Podcast. Let's get it. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam. Sean on the mic, very flat too. Keep you updated, that's what we do. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam.
Yo, what to do, everybody? It's your boy, John Altidor, Pro Fan Sports Podcast, back at you with another one with my boys, Vlad, Barry, and back on the show. We got senior NFL writer at the Boston Globe, Mr. Ben Volin. Thank you, and welcome back to the show, man.
What's up, guys? How we doing?
We're doing great. I think we're probably doing a little better than a lot of guys in the NFL. You know, as an NFL writer, how many concussions did you count yesterday?
Yeah, you know what? It's crazy. After all the stuff that went through with Tua, they had a similar situation with the Bucs last night. Cameron Brate, the tight end, he got dinged up, stayed in the game for a whole nother series, then eventually came out of the game. And Tony Dungy came out today and said, I was down there. He was clearly had his bell rung. The protocols are broken. No one from upstairs signaled down and said we need to check this guy. So the NFL, they have some work to do. And I think there were two in the Patriots game. There was a guy on the Packers, I think Amos. I think he went out with a concussion. And then Brian Hoyer, the Patriots called it a head injury, but that's almost always means a concussion. I don't know why they're playing semantics with that. But yeah, it's a brutal sport. And it's not just the concussions. A local guy for us, Louis Cine, the safety for the Vikings, first-round pick, Everett kid, grew up in Everett. You know, one of the not too many kids from Everett make it out and become first-round pick in the NFL. But he was playing over in London yesterday and had a really nasty ankle injury, detached the ankle and all that stuff. And he had to stay over there and have emergency surgery, and he's going to have more surgeries, and he's going to have to be stuck over in the United Kingdom for a while now, how many thousands of miles away from home. So, yeah, football is a brutal sport, and it's the only sport where your star players are at risk of getting hurt on every play. So it's a tough sport, but that, I guess it adds to why we love it so much. These guys really lay it all out on the line for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, by the reports, there was as many as 11 reported concussions yesterday. Yeah. I mean, I thought it was a lot, and I'm like, man, the NFL is kind of panicking a little bit. Would you say the NFL is panicking, or they just like trying to get ahead of this thing with Tua?
Well, panicking is one way of putting it. Maybe overcorrecting is another way of putting it. And they have to. I mean, with what happened with Tua in a very kind of public national TV game on Thursday night, they've got to be extra careful. And even with 11 concussions and even with guys probably, being taken out of games over caution, there still was the Cameron Brate situation with the Bucs yesterday. So they got to figure out something because, the last thing you want is guys who are dinged up and dazed going out there and being at even more risk of concussion or something really bad happening. So they've got to, it's tough when you take guys off the field and they want to go and they feel like they haven't been playing, but the other outcome is a lot worse. So I think the NFL is going to start maybe overcorrecting and taking the, better safe than sorry tactics.
Yeah, maybe I didn't see it too well, but I didn't see really what happened with Brian Hoyer. I didn't see him hit his head too hard or anything like that. What was up with that?
Yeah, I assume it was just like the whiplash. I mean, he got crushed on that hit. I think it was Rashawn Gary. It was going around Isaiah Wynn, and he just got flattened. And when he went into the tent, that was my first thought, was that he's probably getting a concussion test just because the velocity of the hit and the way he got driven into the ground. And then you saw him leaving the blue tent and going into the locker room with a whole bunch of people, including a guy with a red hat. And the red hat always means the unaffiliated concussion guy. I don't know if it's when he hit his head on the ground when he got driven back, but he got flattened on that play. And I was not surprised to see that he had a concussion. We'll see about his availability now. I mean, we've seen guys in the NFL get a concussion on Sunday and pass the protocols and be ready to go a week later. But given the whole Tua situation, I would not be surprised if Hoyer's kept out an extra week this week.
Hi, Ben. Thank you for coming on again. What's the new rule that the NFL has come out in favor of the concussions?
Well, they don't have new rules yet, and that's kind of what they're working on. Is they need, because the NFL can't just do whatever they want. They need to bargain with the players' union, the NFLPA, and that's the thing. It's not just the NFL's policy; it's jointly bargained. The NFLPA is as much responsible for the policy too. I was reading the policy on Friday after the whole Tua situation, and a couple glaring loopholes stood out. One is that the policy is very clear that even though there's unaffiliated neurotrauma consultants at the games and there's concussion spotters and all these people involved, the team doctor is still the one that makes the final call over whether a guy has a concussion and whether he can go back in the game. And look, I think the team doctors are very hardworking people, and the last thing they want to do is put their players in harm's way. But there is inherently a conflict of interest when the team doctor is the one making that decision, and these guys are mostly orthopedic surgeons. They're not brain experts. So they need to figure out if they really want these team doctors being in charge of the decision. And then there's a part of the policy, something called gross motor instability is supposed to be an automatic no-go. If you see a guy stumble, it's supposed to be immediately removed from the game, take him out of there, take his helmet away. Except they said, well, but the team doctor could say, well, he stumbled because of an orthopedic issue, not a head issue. So they kind of opened a loophole there. And the Dolphins, they swear up and down that Tua stumbled because of his back injury, not because of anything with the head. I would like to see some transparency. I'll take them at their word for now, but they still should maybe delve more into how they came up to that decision. And I think what they need to do is clean that up and just take that loophole out of there and say, if you stumble, you're out of the game. Sorry. And that's just the way it's going to be. And that's part of what I was asked before about, is the NFL panicking or maybe overcorrecting? And yeah, they are. And there are going to be some guys who are upset that they're taken out of games. But again, I think when you're talking with the brain, it's better safe than sorry.
Thank you for explaining that.
If I was one of those players, I'd probably stay down a little longer before I got up on my feet, just so I don't stumble if I'm trying to stay in the game, right? Do you think players will start doing that?
Yeah, that's a good point. Although I could see that going the other way too. They see a guy on the ground for a while and they're like, well, we got to check him for concussion now. It's almost like damned if you do and damned if you don't, I guess. I think just players need to be aware, like the NFL is going to start being, I think, hyper vigilant about it and start really looking at these guys like a hawk and trying to make sure that they're not missing any. Because anytime something like this happens, it's a real black eye for the NFL. And, this Tua thing is really bad PR for them, and they need to fix up their concussion protocols. So, yeah, it's going to be tough for some players, and there are going to be some guys who are upset that they're taken out of the games. But that's just the way it's going to have to be.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. One that, ask you, Ben, because it's kind of egregious to me how all of a sudden now with this whole Tua situation, now the NFL wants to start taking, head and concussion injuries seriously and player safety injury. Like, why is it just like now that all of a sudden, okay, now we're going to be, strict and enforced with the concussion protocols, and we're going to, keep guys out of the game that, that are stumbling or that, have shown any sort of signs and symptoms of, having a concussion or a head injury. Like, why hasn't this been more enforced and how the NFL hasn't come down harder on these teams up until Tua, got hurt and ended up, injuring himself even worse than he did last week? Because I just don't get it and understand that.
Well, I don't think it's fair to say the NFL hasn't cared about concussions, because they have. And these protocols, even though there's some loopholes there, it's a long way from what it used to be. I mean, the NFL they used to deny that football and brain injury, tackles and head-to-head contact led to brain injuries. And it was like the cigarette industry, denying that smoking led to cancer. So the NFL has come a long way in the past 10 to 15 years as far as they acknowledge concussions, they research concussions, they require they have position-specific helmets. They have, helmets for offensive linemen that have more padding on them, and defensive linemen and things like that. But the protocols are definitely, there's an element of it that's just for appearance, that to show that they take it seriously. And I think keeping the team doctor in charge of the decisions is one way that takes root. That if they were really serious about the concussion issue, they would allow the unaffiliated brain doctors on hand to be the ones to, diagnosing the concussions instead of the team doctors. And so they need to tighten up their protocols. There's no question. And, the only, I don't want to give the NFL too much credit. The only reason they're here is because they got sued by hundreds of former players, and they're paying out over $1 billion in settlements in this concussion lawsuit. So, they were strong-armed into this legally. But they have come a long way, I think, with better concussion prevention, but certainly not perfect, and these protocols still have significant loopholes that I really think they need to clean up, and they realize it too. And again, it's not just the NFL, it's the union too, which I think they've taken a lot of heat from their players in recent days, that they don't care enough about the CBA.
Yeah. Ben, thanks for expounding on the concussion protocols, but with the concussion protocols and the gross, whatever the explanation is now, it actually opened up the door yesterday for the Patriots' third string quarterback, Bailey Zappe. He came in the game and he actually did well. What did you think about his performance yesterday? Stepping up to the plate.
Yeah, I thought he did a really nice job for a rookie fourth-round pick who had been inactive all season long so far, and this was his first action. And apologize before for the technical difficulties, but so I thought he comported himself pretty well. The moment wasn't too big for him. That's not an easy spot on the road, Lambeau Field. Place was pretty loud. It's the Packers. You're facing Aaron Rodgers, and I don't want to pretend like Zappe, was slinging it all over the ball yard, but he ran the offense pretty well. They were still efficient. They still ran the ball very well. So I think he probably checked them into some of the right plays. And, the Packers, I'm sure, were playing the run, but the Patriots' offensive line was still pretty dominant. And, the touchdown pass, I think they probably got away with one. It looked like it should have been a delay of game. The clock was well past zero, and everyone in the stadium seemed to see it except for the referee. So I'm not quite sure what happened there. But, hey, it's better to be lucky than good, and the Patriots certainly took advantage of that. And the calls definitely went both ways throughout the game. So, I think Belichick's got an interesting decision here. Whether Zappe, I would put him as your backup ahead of Hoyer. I think Zappe has shown enough that it's worth letting the young guy, take on that added responsibility and let him play more if he needs it. And then I think Belichick needs to determine, this weekend, I don't know Mac Jones's ankle, but if he's at 60, 70%, do you want Mac Jones kind of hobbling around a little bit, or do you want Bailey Zappe at 100%? What's better for your offense? So I think Zappe played well enough that it's given Belichick a little bit something to think about. Now I think they got to win this game against the Lions. So, we'll see if Belichick wants to go into this game with his third-string quarterback. But Zappe, I was impressed that he showed some good poise and toughness, and the moment definitely wasn't too big for him.
Go ahead, Vlad.
We don't have a QB controversy here, do we?
I don't think so. I still think Mac is clearly the best of the three quarterbacks. You see it in training camp when all three of them are out there. And, Zappe, it was his first performance, so I don't want to say anything too negative. I thought he did pretty well, but it's not like he was pushing the ball downfield. Now, maybe he was safer with the ball. I mean, Mac has been very sloppy with the football this year, and he keeps throwing interceptions, then I think definitely Belichick's not going to be too happy with him. But Mac is your quarterback, and when he's healthy enough to play, he's your guy. Now, to me, the question is, do you want Mac at 70% or do you want Zappe? That I guess is a controversy, and that's not an easy decision for Belichick. Mac is the better guy, and maybe he can still do most of what he brings, but if he can't escape the pass rush, if he can't do some things on his ankles, you're really going to be hindering the Patriots offense. So I guess there will be a controversy in that sense. Do you want a healthy Zappe or a 75% Mac Jones? That won't be an easy decision for Belichick.
I saw some reports about, Mac maybe needing surgery and him opting not to do that. Is there any truth about that? There's a lot of stuff that's said online, but
so that's why you go get a second opinion. He went down to Brooklyn to meet with a foot and ankle specialist. He happens to be the team doctor for the Brooklyn Nets. I believe he did an ankle surgery on Kevin Durant. He does like the New York City Ballet. So he's a pretty renowned foot and ankle specialist. And that's why you go get that second opinion to see if you need surgery, what kind of timetable are you looking at. Now, what's not true is it's being couched as, I think it's like this tightrope surgery that some guys get for high ankle sprains. And it's being described as kind of like this miracle cure where if you get the surgery, it can like speed up your recovery time. You can take an 8-week recovery and turn it into a 6 or even a 4-week recovery. And that's just not true. The surgery itself is a good procedure, but it's only for, a certain type of ankle sprain, and either you need the surgery or you don't, and it's not going to speed up your recovery. So Mac avoiding surgery to me says the ankle was a little bit better than maybe they expected, and he didn't go on IR either. So, if it was a really bad ankle injury that was going to keep him out over a month, I think it'd be an obvious decision to put him on injured reserve. But, that also knocks him out for 4 games, and the Patriots are leaving themselves open the option to bring Mac back early. So I think it's good that he didn't get surgery. You want to avoid surgery whenever you can. It's never fun, even if it's supposed to be a pretty minor procedure. And, let this thing heal on its own, and then Mac will probably be back in a few weeks. But, they're hitting the soft spot of the schedule now with the Lions and the Jets and the Colts, and they might be able to sneak a few wins here without Mac. So I think it's probably prudent upon them to get Mac healthy now.
How did the Patriots manage to keep the score so tight? And what was this more of a Green Bay's offense or the Patriots defense? What was going on in that game?
A little bit of both. I think you definitely have to give the Patriots defense a lot of credit. Aaron Rodgers was talking after the game about how, first of all, the Patriots use a lot of their cover zero looks, where they bring 6 guys into the box, no deep safety. They've been doing that a lot. They did that a lot with Lamar Jackson in week 3. And so they did a lot of their cover zero stuff. They did man-to-man across the board. They didn't think that the Packers receivers were good enough to get open. And I think they were pretty right on that. I think the Patriots cornerbacks did a pretty good job of locking down man-to-man on the Packers receivers. And then Rodgers was talking about how the Patriots defense kind of funneled everything they funneled their defense to the middle. And Belichick was basically saying the only way you're going to beat us, Rodgers, is if you throw a dime down the sideline on a fade and your guy makes an incredible catch. And we saw that Allen Lazard laid out for a 32-yarder on the sideline. John Jones was all over him. Incredible catch by Allen Lazard. But, that's what it took to complete a big pass against the Patriots. It was going to take a perfect throw, a perfect catch, and just a lot of things to go right. And I think they really frustrated Rodgers in the first half. He was chucking up the ball. The Packers came out and made some good adjustments in the second half. I think the Patriots defense probably wore down a little bit. The Packers started having a lot more time of possession in the second half. So, I think you have to give the Patriots defense a lot of credit for having a good plan. And other than Rodgers, I don't think they were too impressed with the Packers personnel. And I think they did a pretty good job locking them down man-to-man coverage. But then you have to give Aaron Rodgers and the Packers some credit for making those adjustments in the second half. And offensively, you got to love the Patriots' offensive line. Trent Brown, Onwenu, David Andrews, Cole Strange, the rookie. They were really pushing guys around, making some big holes for the run game. Should have been a pretty one-dimensional offense with your third-string quarterback, and they still were able to run the ball. very effectively, especially in the second half. So I was impressed. Even I know we don't like moral victories around here, but they showed a lot. And, that game really could have gone either way. They almost stole a win with their third-string quarterback against Aaron Rodgers. And to me, they looked a lot more competitive than they had been, and there's, to me, a lot more reason for optimism about this team right now.
I think we probably had time for one more question. I think Jack Jones, did he earn himself some more playing time yesterday?
No question. That guy's going to get more playing time. He deserves a spot at the front of the parking lot. Man, what a play. Just the fourth player ever, just the fourth pick six that Aaron Rodgers has ever thrown in his career. Just the second one he ever threw at Lambeau Field. What a monumental achievement for Jack Jones, something he'll never forget as a rookie in Lambeau Field to take one back to the house. What an amazing, moment for him. And yeah, it wasn't just that. He also had the forced fumble, and he recovered it too. And I thought, did a really nice job locking down in coverage. I like his skill set too. I like his body type, big and lanky. And they need a cornerback like that on the outside. And it'd be great if he can develop. They can get Jalen Mills back, kick Jonathan Jones inside, or just have a lot of versatility and depth at that cornerback position. So yeah, Jack Jones, the 4th-round pick. That was a heck of a performance yesterday. Really made a name for himself, and I definitely expect we'll be seeing a lot more of him moving forward.
Yeah, I just had one quick question about the game yesterday. Do you feel, Ben, that the offensive play calling was towards the end of the game was too conservative?
I do believe that, and it wasn't just that time. There was a moment in the first half too. They had like 4th and 1 from the Packers 46, and they punted. And it's like, come on, you got your third-string quarterback. You literally have nothing to lose. It's 1 yard. You're in the other team's territory. Just go for it. You're playing Aaron Rodgers. You need the points. And I thought they kind of fell back into that again in overtime, where Belichick, I think he just always thinks he can win with his defense. Oh, I can get a stop and get the ball back. And, I've seen a lot of people say that the Patriots got too conservative because they went run, pass, and they should have thrown the ball more, and maybe. But I heard some other criticism that I like better. They should have just gone run. They should have run the ball again on 3rd down. They were running the ball really well in the second half and controlling the line of scrimmage. And if you run on 3rd and 5, and if you pick up 3 yards, all of a sudden you got 4th and 2. You could run it again. Like they should have gone down swinging. They should have just kept running the ball. If you could get that 1st down, then you're on the 40. You just need 5 to muscle your way to 5 more yards. You can kick the field goal. So I think they should have just gone run, and tried to just pick up those 10 yards instead of passing on that 3rd down. The run game was working for them, and it was overtime. The Packers were tired. So I was a little disappointed in that. And, yeah, I do think the Patriots, Belichick, Patricia, they do get too conservative. They, try to play for field position too much. In today's NFL, you got to go for it. You got to score points, show some faith in your offense, and you got to take advantage of those opportunities when you can. So, yeah, I do think they should have been more aggressive there in overtime.
Absolutely, I agree. Well,
More.
Yeah. Ben, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on Pro Fan Sports once again, man. You're always welcome here.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. You guys are a lot of fun. Thanks a lot for having me. Again, apologies for the technical difficulties. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. But you guys are awesome, and thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. Have a good night, brother.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it.
See you guys.
See you, Ben. Have a good night. Good seeing you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Barry, thanks for setting it up, buddy. I appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure. No problem. Anytime, Ben. I'll send you the link to the show once it comes out.
Sounds great, man. All right, see you.
All right, see you, Ben.
Yes, sir. That was senior NFL writer Ben Volin from the Boston Globe, man. He's always reporting on the Patriots. He's been at it since 2007, man. So he's a vet in the game, man. And his thoughts are always great. He's an OG. He's been covering the team for a long time. So if you want to, you can follow him at Ben Volin on Twitter. He's always out there reporting on the Patriots. If you're a Patriots fan, make sure you follow him. Make sure you're following us too. We're at ProFan Sports on everything except for Instagram, and that's at ProFans_sports. And please make sure you're liking, subscribing to the YouTube, commenting, sharing the content. That's the best way you can support to help push us to new heights, man. So until the next interview, we out of here. Peace out.
Peace, everyone. Have a good week. See y'all next week.